Welcome, sixth grade student. This is a brief lesson about engagement and one of the ways that we can make sure that we are engaged in the classroom when we're doing our learning here at Valley View Middle School. Let's start with talking about what does engagement mean? When you hear the word engagement, what do you think of? Lots of people sometimes think about someone getting married because they're engaged, but the definition that we mean is the action of engaging or being engaged. That's a lot of the word being used in its definition. So, what I like to think about is participation and taking part. We want you to participate in your learning or to be a part of the learning that's happening. At Valley View Middle School, we use a student readiness checklist. On the checklist is a section that talks about engagement. There are three categories across the top: ready to learn, almost ready to learn, and not ready to learn. Let's take a look at what engagement in each of these looks like. If we're not ready to learn, it means we're not listening. Maybe we're even talking to our neighbor, or we're paying attention to something else, or we're just ignoring whatever's happening in the classroom. It might be that we're off task. When I'm supposed to be listening to the teacher, maybe I'm doing some coloring, or I'm playing with my pencil, or I'm daydreaming about what I'm going to do when I get home tonight. And the last piece of that means often you're leaving classroom to go to the bathroom or go to your locker or the drinking fountain, but you're leaving the classroom space during instruction. The second part is almost ready to learn. This means that you're listening, you're working on task for part of the time, but sometimes you get distracted, and that once in a while you're leaving class for the bathroom or locker or drinking fountain, but sometimes you're also in class. The category we care most about and that we want you to focus on because we know you can do it is being ready to learn when it comes to your engagement. This means that we want you to practice active listening. We use the acronym SLANT, which means sit up, listen, ask questions, nod your head, and track the speaker. It also means you're working on a task until finished. And when we think about working on a task until we're finished, we want it to be done well to high quality, not just something you rush through so you can be done. And the last piece of that is using passing time to go to the restroom or to get materials from your locker. You have 3 minutes to get from class to class, and it's important to take advantage of that time. Let's take some time to think more about practicing active listening and what that looks like when we say slant. When we sit up straight, our feet are on the floor, we're not leaning our head or our bodies onto our desk, and we're not slouching in our chair. Doesn't mean your back has to be completely straight, but you are sitting up nicely. We're also listening carefully. We're paying attention to whoever in the class is speaking, or if it's a video, we're watching the video. But it's important that our ears are attentive to whatever is happening in our instruction. If we get confused, we make sure that we ask a question. Or if whoever's speaking asks a question, we make sure we take the time to answer it. This shows that you're actively listening to what's being talked about and discussed. Your brain is thinking about that information, and you're able to process and participate in the discussion. The next piece is nodding your head. Not like a bobblehead doll that nods its head up and down the whole time someone's talking, because that's awkward and it would hurt. You'd get a headache after a while. But what we mean is as you're listening to someone talk, every once in a while, your head just kind of slightly nods. This shows, yes, I'm listening, yes, I understand what you're saying, and yes, I'm engaged in my learning. And the final piece is tracking the speaker. This means that when someone is talking in the classroom, your eyes are looking at that person. It helps your brain understand what you're listening to. It helps your ears direct their attention a little better. And it helps you overall to focus and understand the content. If the teacher is speaking and they call on a student, your eyes and attention will shift to the student as they answer the question. When the student is done and the teacher resumes talking, your eyes return back to the teacher. You're tracking whoever's talking. Sometimes your teacher might say, put your eyes on your paper and have you fill something out while they're talking. But then they might say, slant, or track the speaker, or eyes on me, and your attention should again return to that teacher.